have a lot of really awesome things that I want to do with us today, and I'm hoping we get to do them all and they can kind of merge. But before we do so, using what has been brought to us, because the biofeedback, right? You understand what I'm saying when I say biofeedback?
Conceptually, but what do you mean in this
So
instance?
here we are, we're beaming light out of every one of the micro acupuncture points. Every channel is coming out here on the green screen of the video game. And what comes back is the biofeedback. So I'm projecting out of all my light holes, especially my projector, my pineal gland. And what comes back from this 6-foot green screen and then the bigger green screens, I mean, if you've been at a studio, they've got a white wall and they call it a green screen because they project on the white wall or the green screen, and they're able to like put a backdrop of a waterfall or whatever, you know, with the weatherman. There's nothing behind them. It's a green screen. They're projecting the image of Florida with all the storms going on. So the projector, when we're looking at this type of terminology, and your aura is like a green screen to project back a movie of what the sum total of your thoughts, beliefs, memories, and feelings and actions. Every now moment it's happening. We're doing it right now in many different ways. So it's all here, you know, like look what's in front of us. And that projection, that biofeedback that's coming back from my projection, that's by me, through me, for me, always has some information for me that I could decode, you know, unravel and find out the mystery and decode. If I'm curious about anything, my question literally will have the answer right sitting here in front of me. And so when these interesting events happen in our life, they're like, wow, what was that? Like everything has a wow, what was that? But usually you're not always looking at them. You're just going through autopilot, and your subconscious mind is literally projecting out essentially like 85% of what you've memorized in your motherboard and giving you back those memorized memories, etc., feelings, emotions, and beliefs. So when you have a aha moment or a moment of like, I need clarity, like what was that? It's the codes are all there. Like as you were saying that, Mama Kay just texted me, oh look, you know, something came with your name on it that says infinite prosperity. You know, on the fax machine, I always, when we're doing stuff, like I always get these like wild faxes, like claim your $1 billion, you know. She's like, how do you do that? I'm like, because I lived there, you know, for so long as a child, you know, I'm sure that fax machine and I have a strong relationship. So we're constantly giving ourselves these really cool messages, and especially when we are, you know, really wanting to digest the imposter, digest the old versions of self, digest these things that are really no longer serving us. When it is time, there'll be a surge of a moment and you're like, wow, this is definitely something bigger than me just to discount. Let me not carry it anymore. Like I love all your symbolism. Let me fold it up. Like if you've seen the piece of paper example of like when you fold a piece of paper, you know, if this is the plane of existence and you fold a piece of paper and you stick a hole through this, right? You've seen that example with a pencil. You can quantum jump through the wormhole and get through this other side, and all of a sudden you've landed in this other plane where the hole is. So, you know, we're folding, and the Wrinkle in Time movie is a great movie. We're folding time, folding the plane, and we're jumping. So you didn't want to carry that with you, and we don't need to carry this with us. That's why we have the AKASHIC Soul Pro app. That's why we have our faculties inside to say, like, I don't want to carry this. What is this? You know, let me jump up higher and see a new point of view and dissolve, dismantle, release. Any kind of code word you need to give it or action word you need to give it. Sometimes it's very specific what your spirit wants you to say. It wants you to say unravel. It wants you to say collapse. You know, don't forget about that word. Sometimes it does want a collapse. And so when you give it the proper word that your consciousness is wanting to do, you literally, that is wiped clear, and you reoccupy in a higher octave, you know, and essentially we're always looking to reoccupy and reclaim. It's the reclamation of love, like the love octave. That's why we got the 528 hertz, you know, project going on, is to like, okay, we're reclaiming the plane of existence with love. And any of those places that literally do show up in the matrix for me, because I'm in the avatar, I'm in the game. Here I am, right? But this isn't really just me. This is like a percent. You know, the 99% of me is all everything else. So the big me, if you want to say like the higher self, or all those other words, causal, source self, pure, unknowable, ether, like that's you. You're like going, hey, let's play this game. Like, it's like you're looking down going, hey, did you get that message? And you're like, what? And then, you know, it comes on your phone, you know, and you're, you know, that's what happened to me the other day too, essentially, is my phone was calling me when it can't even call me in the way that it was calling me through my car. When it's too many details I want to go into, but my point is, I said, what's going on? They said, your higher self's trying to give you a message. I'm like, okay, what's up? You know, what am I missing here? And so on the phone, when it do what it wanted to do, it was like you had frozen it in a blizzard, literally, to say, hey, let's go ahead and deal with this, which also sometimes you will freeze it, to literally freeze it, right?
Yeah.
So you can collect it, that sheet of ice, and spin it up and reparticleize it into something new. So what other things were happening right around that, you know, will always give us even more information of like what happened right before it, you know, that stimulated all of it, all the things that you could actually sit and chew on about, like, you know, what did it bring up afterwards, bring up right now, because there's layers to it. And when you do big acts for yourself to do a grand merger or, you know, clear something up, you know, there's such an opportunity right now to be super conscious. And yes, you can play, and like, you don't have to be all so research and serious. And it can be fun, but yet when these moments, you know, because you get like a charge in your body, you know, you're like, what's that? And so you're literally trying to go ahead and come out of these duality structures where you thought yourself into a place of fraud. There's no fraud. It's only you and you. Like, why am I playing with myself right now this way? What is going on? And then going, oh, wow. And then you start to, again, source code, learn how to operate this reality creation. So, you know, the younger ones who are literally they're like teaching them coding, meaning young children right now, like it's a common thing that they're learning how to be really swift. You know, now they've got everything on computers if they're at a typical school. Like even they're doing math on computers. I'm like, how are you doing that? And she's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. Like, I always remember I had to write it out. You know, and she's like, help, Mom. And I'm like, do you have a paper here? You know?
They don't use any
And a pen. I'm like, I'm going to use a pen? Okay, I'm doing math. So yes, they're getting quicker and they're learning the code, or they're showing us the code as well, like how swift we need to be aware of the mind, because the mind is the key. The mind is creating all of this, you know, it is a thought away. And if we keep time involved in the sense that we keep thinking so linear and that's going to take a long time, then that's fine. You know, there's no wrong turn with you actually taking a long time because of, for instance, when you're in a healing, because you're getting to the root. You're taking better care of yourself. You're finding out things that, you know, you, during the journey of, like, let's say something where you're healing your body or your mind, you're like, if you're willing, meaning if you're willing, you have the ability to actually dig, you're finding so much more than just, oh, let me take a quick pill. Like in the past, you could take a NyQuil, you know, like in my 20s. Oh, I'm going to take a NyQuil. I'll wake up in the morning and feel better. We're doing a lot more super conscious retrieval of like, okay, what's going on? How did that create itself? How many layers are to it? And then it doesn't have to take like a long time, but if it does, it's okay. If we then shift and want to now start making things more swift and say, I don't want to carry this paper with me anymore. Like, what could you do? You know, that was one thing they were telling me this morning, like talking about writing, you know, like remember the power you have of writing it out, you know, and speaking it out. Those are both the next thing from the thought, you know. So if that thought is like literally spinning on the dime the light coming out of your pineal gland that's literally creating the reality of how it's going to project back to you. And you do a drawing, or you do a word, which is essentially another blueprint. It's a drawing, it's vibrationally moving out. Then now you got a blueprint that's strengthening and crystallizing that thought. So if you're guided to do, it could be words, but remember, like, the power of even just doing symbols, or like if you feel like you need to draw circles, or if you need to use color. I tend to recommend that you have a meditation station that has, some paints, some crayons, different types of creative outlet. You know me, I got whiteboards everywhere at my house, because it's just really easy for me to write something out. And like I wrote something out this morning, and I said, can I erase it now? And she was like, no, leave that for a while. So then I leave it up because it's still crystallizing, it's still working. But yet for me, doing a lot of paintings and drawings and writing stuff on paper, it's a lot of me at a fire pit, because I don't like a lot of stuff. Like, this place has so much stuff. That's why I'm constantly moving around. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff here. I've had these chairs for sale online for so long. I'm like, please, I want to go. But paintings and things like that, and journals and writings, I like them to move along when I'm allowed to have them move along, because I don't necessarily want to keep things for so long bound. When it happens. This is a fast moving reality show that's constantly moving and grooving. And when we keep things so dense and held on to, then, we're missing out on this quick jump. Not to say you can't have things a long time and still do a lot of quantum jumping. It's just a lot easier because you don't have an attachment to them, and you can easily move the light particles a lot quicker. And for paintings, same thing. I know if I paint something that is strong in the field, like, it's a powerful thing to do paintings and artwork and any kind of drawings. Whatever you were thinking and feeling, like, or you're channeling into, it is, so it's holding this huge blueprint to the reality. So what a gift to do that, especially to do it in such a way that your heart's in it and that you're feeling like really good when you do it. If you don't, like, paint over it, start over and paint it from a higher place, or just beam it with light, or hold a pendulum over it and get it to clear and make sure it feels really good, because that's, again, infinitely projecting out from that finite point of the painting. Yes. So just really paying attention to the reality creation. One thing that Spirit was really adamant today, beyond what I want to do with you, is they were like, you guys really need to be doing blueprinting for the world. Like, what you guys are sitting in a circle, essentially. And you guys, the new governance are self-governance in circles that are holding the reality in place from what they want it to be. So just to appease that request from, I think it was Master Thoth, who was asking for that. Anybody would raise their hand of something they would like to see in our world that you're projecting. Right. So here's the thing. Everything that we just said is. So we're sitting at Creator's seat. As soon as we think it has to be done outside of us, or that they have to do this, or it has to be all these, you get like really big. I actually closed my eyes, I started spinning, just thought it was really interesting. You think of the 9 billion people and have to shift for this to happen. You have lost creatorship. You step outside of that creator seat. So staying in creator's seat and thinking that, and then knowing that is, now you're going to see, like, I guarantee you'll see at least one of these examples when you go somewhere to, later today or tomorrow, this week, that it's like, oh, it happened. Wow, that was so quick. And that's how they'll happen quicker and quicker. And that's you getting back in the driver's seat in the quantum reality, understanding how reality is created. You then put more thought into these things. Like, what do you want to happen? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I'll be like, well, gosh, I don't like, well, okay, yeah, you want me to do that more? Well, let me think of some more like small things. I can think of big things, small things of how I want them to be. And if you've heard me say, my little coin phrase of it is getting ahead of it, meaning before you typically go somewhere, I try to, while I'm driving there or walking there, like, okay, how do I want this to be, before I get there? Usually situational. So that I got ahead of it. I was in reality creation seat, in creator seat of how I want it to be. More of those that begin to happen, meaning if I keep doing that for a month, then it crystallizes, and then it really is set in that new tone. However, as we keep growing and evolving, it's can be more malleable. You're in the next moment, you're like, well, yeah, now I want it to be this way. Because you try that out and maybe it wasn't exactly what you had considered to be the best. You feel it out or it happens and you're like, well, I didn't think of all those thoughts of how it's supposed to be. So, and that's the beauty of us remembering that how all this is created. It's only when we crystallize it that it is the way it is forever, because that's the way the system has it, or that's the way it's supposed to be, or that's the way they've been doing schools, that we just keep falling in that cycle, that loop, and nobody's keeping us there but us. And your social conditioning of learning to be with people of like mind who I could literally tell you like a seemingly new upgrade and you're like, well, that's not that way. If you're telling people that are doing that, you need to get ahead of it, meaning you need to, before you get together with them and tell them your new idea or what you've just created, say, oh, I'm going to talk to their soul right now. They're going to totally receive this. And then when you get with them, you'll see if you actually were able to communicate to their soul, because if they actually respond to you like, yes, yeah, I saw that too the other day, then you can see that you're actually starting to step into gear, into a higher version. That's a higher elevator door of like heart and higher, of you're meeting these people, these souls, soul to soul. And that's the new earth. The new earth is requiring us to build her. She's already there. That's why we do excavations. You can find cities underground, all these different places, because we've done this many times. However, like people like Issa, Master Issa, Jesus, Yeshua, he was trying to, I'm sure trying to go around being like, hey, there's like a simpler way, and like be kind to each other. And like, there's all these other master abilities along with other masters who could shapeshift and out of reality, trying to give those who were closest to them the keys back. We have to remember, like, we've got all the keys. And so the main key is to stay in your heart, because in the avatar for this reality creation, if you're not centered here in oneness and neutrality, meaning, and you're not too far left on the red die number 5, if you can go, oh, that's just for someone, that's the perfected state. Purple people eater. Purple, what is it?
Purple people eaters.
That I was trying to say Fruit Loops. Couldn't get that one out. So whatever that was perfect for someone. Oh, we're going to make this and it's going to make the Fruit Loop this color. And it was the mind, the third energy center, second, those lower energy centers that were like, well, this is bad. And then every time we believed what was written and what was researched, which the research in the lower world is silly, because research is only the eye of the beholder, what they want. That's the way quantum reality works. Whatever you want it to be, that's what the research is going to show you. It's not real research. The real research is you knowing that you're creating it and putting strong intentions to it, and so it is, and like keep checking on it. Like, is this going to work this way? Yes. Can I see it through the whole reality of existence, that all 9 billion souls and beyond receive benefit from this? Maybe I just heard no. Like, then find out what the no is. Like, is it 70% beneficial? Yes. How can I get the 100% beneficial? Like, you're the master creator, and then you putting all those intentions into it is then how it'll be delivered to your world. Meaning, Bob over here could have done his whole reality creation and it looks totally different. And you two may be at different planes of existence and seeing a whole 2 different worlds. And that's the beauty. That's why we're here. That's the game. So we start to pull back our strong point of views, and we start just to really make ourselves happy and do our best, and then to include the collective that you're going to have experiences with to do their best and have a good time. So you would come out of all these places where we're literally pinning people down to be bad or pinning situations down to be horrible. And if you got biofeedback, meaning you saw something on the news or something on Facebook and you're like, oh, I can't believe that's happening. Well, okay, quickly, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to see that new? Are you going to keep telling like 10 people about it, repost it? It definitely happens for me. And Spirit's like, take that down. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, sorry. Like, you just quantum projected that infinitely. Why are you keeping that alive? You know, and then I'll find my hand in it as well. If it has a strong connection, I feel visceral, like charged emotion, then I'm like, okay, why is it still projecting back to me? Like, how is that even my reality? Why is that still going on in my scene that I'm seeing right now? And what do I need to do about it? Yes? Cool. Any ahas or questions about that before we move on to?
But then I just time crunched it all because when I was thinking about it, I was going to take me months. But when I just decided to visualize it, it just appeared.
Yes. And that's the name of the game. We're printing everything into existence.
Yeah.
We're being asked by our higher intelligence to say, have this what you want. You are a creator. You came here to create. You're creating all this. You just printed it out with light particles stacked up. This is all yours.
Mm-hmm.
So like, print.
Yeah.
And you can. And it's up to you how much you want to play with that, you know? Like if that's one of your callings. You know, I had that brief little thought with Spirit today. I was like, well, you know, I love my life. I love every bit of it. Because I'll go into those big numbers, like those spirits, like, we want you to stretch, you know, like you need to go. I'm like, well, why? I'm like, well, we want you to go ahead and have this new place and do this children's school. And, you know, the children are ready for this. And I'm like, well, I can just print it. Like someone just gift it to me. I'm used to that. Mm-hmm. So these are my thoughts this rising. Like, well, I'm content, you know, and they're like, well, we know, but you know, the bigger beings, like, we want you to come on, like, show yourself. There's more to do. And there's a bigger world that we want you to work on because you have the capability. And that's what they said about us here. Like, they have the capability. Remind them of what they can do, both on a big scale, because sometimes you feel more worthy to do it on a bigger scale than you do on your small scale for yourself. So know that you're fully worthy. You're sitting in creator's seat. You were made in the image, you know, whatever text you're following, whatever biblical thing you maybe sat with or sacred text that reminded you of who you are, why you are, your own inner higher intelligence telling you, whatever that is for you, like take that jewel, that pearl and blow it up inside yourself to know this is for you. To do your best, to feel your best, and to have a great time so that you can have an overflowing cup to go ahead and have that for all the others, because they're all waiting, you know. And you can see them all. When we're talking about relationships and other souls, you can see those souls, those closest souls to you, doing your best. It's what we're going to do today for a healing circle or a well-being circle, because I want to take that sign down because we're already healed. This is Quantum Healing Center. I'll go into that maybe, but well-being circle, because we have the ability to see each other whole. So when you've got two or more seeing these things through, meaning if you do have someone you could communicate with, obviously we have each other, that you're able to like share the vision and hold it for each other. Whew. You can do it on your own with your higher ether presence. That's enough. But you start to come off the island, off the tippy top of the mountaintop, when you actually do start to share with others. It like creates a big rainbow arc, and it starts stretching, and you're able to go, oh, there's more. And we literally are holding it open on a wider net for each other. Like we've drawn in the pyramids, the netting that we used to do when we built worlds. You'll see them draw the net. Two people are literally, it looks like a cast net. It's a world creation. We're creating that bigger blueprint for the net to crystallize and bring light into, so that it is. And you see it. And the more and more you get good at this, you'll see your cast of characters, what you're typically used to. What I'm typically used to, I know when I'm doing big world building, the next rising, they'll be like, along my whole path, electrical white trucks, redoing electrical poles. And they're like, hey, you know, we're doing your work for you. You know, we're changing the grid. So you'll have your own signposts that show you like, wow, like we're really taking it up a notch. And whatever that is for you. Eventually, I was driving the other day when there was a white truck festival, and I said, can I like get this out of my blueprint that it's got to be these like wires and like these white trucks, you know? And so I was just like visualizing like erasing them as I'm like going by, and that we don't need it because we don't like, we just believe we need to like run all these wires everywhere.
Exactly.
It's such a joke.
I'm right there with you.
You know, we don't. Can we see that? Let's see everything just.
Yes.
That's
okay.
a good one.
Yes. And beyond wireless, we are electric. And beyond being wound up into electrical wires, like neutralize the separateness of your existence and open up into the wholeness of your existence, that you are pure particle that is essentially coded as electrical magnetic. Like it's just an isness. Everything works around you. And so that could be a strong affirmation that you say, everything always works. Things magically turn on all around me all the time, not just sometimes, all the time. And I'm now the living proof of that. And nobody questions it because it's a norm, you know, so you got to add these extra things in. And you'll notice when you didn't add the extra things in because of how your feedback comes to show you, you're like, oh, I didn't think of that one.
Specific language is very important, I feel like.
The holy word.
The way I felt that was made clear to me when I was writing and before I went to bed. And your choice of words, I'll say, you know, like, oh, you know, something about abundance. We'll be specific. Abundance in what? I don't want abundance in anything negative, you know. Like the wording, I feel like our language is very important.
If we're going to speak it.
If we're going to speak it, yes.
Speak it
Well,
whole.
you were saying thought,
You
word,
as you
writing.
get more precise, as you gather your light particles and do these exercises, your thought is stellar. Your thought is stronger than the pen, and it's very strong. And so you're very clear of what you're thinking, and you're quick to catch when there's a thought starting to noodle out that's not for the highest. There's probably noodles on my counter later. For fun. Yeah. You know, I'm thinking of a time Spirit's like, we need you to go spread all these wildflower seeds you've had in this cabinet in the yard with Aaliyah right now. I'm like, okay. We spread them all out. The next day we go to the springs. On the way to the springs, every median is full of the wildflower flowers. And we had just been there like, you know, like a week prior, and there was nothing. So, and I've seen that a lot, but that example just came in. And it's the microcosm of your reality, your little spot where you do your beauty, your drawing, your sitting, your yard, your 2 square feet. That literally, like I said, it's infinitely projecting out. And so your blueprints are huge. You know, you don't have to go anywhere to do this type of bigger assignment. So today's extra assignment is to weave together what we did last week, which is we built light balls, which are so fun. Balls of light. Everybody was here. Maybe Margie, you weren't here.
But I've done it before.
Yeah, building balls of light. And we're going to work with a healing, a well-being circle. If we have time at the end, we will do, is that the way you want us to do it? Okay. If we have time at the end, then we will do some of these balls of light just all over the world, just kind of see them all over spaces and places. But I want to bring these frequency subsets to you before we do that, because I feel like that'll help you in the world build with the balls of light. So adding additional frequency to our balls of light, I want us to be aware of the Reikis. We're not going over all 12, of course, but I wanted to do 3 Reikis to know that we could add light frequency, and it doesn't have to be these, but these are the ones that were downloaded me for the Quantum Soul Awakens book. This is my bigger copy. It looks different when you get it. And the first key of light that I was downloaded by Benevolent Source, Father, Mother, Creator, Consciousness is Reiki 1. I am unified. And this is a crystalline, pure white light. And it would have been white if it wasn't yellow paper. And this crystalline white light is all about unification. And it's about the Fruit Loop example, especially when it gets to the brain. It's about unification of the left and right side of the brain, to allow for anywhere there's been duality, that you're holding yourself in a frozen blizzard position of seemingly illness. Just the body needs a balance. It needs a purification. But it starts with bringing the white crystalline light down into the orb. It may not be a movement when we're visualizing this in a little bit. It may just be like you're seeing white light. But this is what I've encoded, or what I was channeled to encode the Reiki 1, was this white light for unifying. And again, the most important part of it is so that you get back your Buddha brain. So that when your brain can start to unify and think in wholeness. When you came into this world, typically as an infant, you were fully online, like your brain was fully illuminated. It was only when you started to identify and define everything that it started to get smaller and smaller of circuitry that gets fired and moved through as far as the way you're thinking, because you're, again, 85% of your subconscious mind, or the mind itself, which is subconscious, is on autopilot from those strong firing and wiring neurons that are linking together. And they built grooves that, a Publix looks like this, and so you got it strongly grooved in there. So you go in and it's just naturally looking like these things because you haven't gotten ahead of it and blueprinted a new world like we've talked about. So when you utilize these quickenings, this is an initiation to utilize this Reiki 1. So you could just say 1, and imagine white light coming over you. And that's the name of the game as well, is to make things simpler. Just to keep on simplifying. So we will ask for the white Reiki 1 to help with unification. We'll ask for the Reiki 2, the I am love, for the purification of the heart. It's also the way I had seen it was like, it was beyond color. It was clear, luminescent love light is the way it came through. And this was to clear out the heart of all the junk that we thought the heart was supposed to be about. And all the times that was frozen, broken, shattered, stabbed in the back, all those different types of consciousness that needs to be cleared out so that you really can get into the heart and have it actually feel really good when I tell you to put your hands on your heart and you're in the heart and stay in the heart, meaning you're everywhere at once, but have that focus, that really centering presence to ground there and feel good, so that when you go up to your beloved or your lover or your partner, and they actually show you the same thing back. A lot of times what happens, what this showed me when I was doing this activation for myself, was that, if you've had heartache, especially early childhood, and you had parents that divorced, or you had things that, were separated, if that heartache is in there, every time you go to work on being in your heart, or you come out of like a really deep meditation and you get in front of the character in your play that you haven't fully healed that type of heart opening with, sometimes they'll show you the exact opposite, and you're like, what's going on here? Why can't I get in my heart and have everyone reciprocate? It's because sometimes we've got a lot what one still wants to clear out of the heart. Again, meaning belief systems typically and patterns. So again, as a simplification, it's like Reiki 2, this clear luminescent love light coming into my heart and cleansing and clearing. And then the third one we'll do today is the I am clear, the Reiki 3, which is about, these are just affirmations that can be said if you're sitting in meditation. But this one is about a purple light, a violet light that opens up at your third eye, and literally I saw beams of light coming out that would purify these neural pathways that had been so hardwired that we're done with, so you could, think about a thought you're done with right now. What's a thought? You don't have to say it out loud, but think about a thought you're done with that you hear from yourself. I'll give you an example. One that when I was getting the download today. I can't do that. And you just, whatever that thought is, I just, bring violet light into it, Reiki 3, and I just see that dematerialize. Is everybody doing one? Close your eyes for a minute and do that, and see if this exercise they wanted me to see if you can follow a path, track anywhere else in your body that it wants to be acknowledged. So think the thought, get it to beam with violet light, dematerialize it, and see if there's anywhere that you track in your body that has to be cleansed out as well. And then bring the Reiki orb of white light into there and just white light it, any other body part that needs white light for purification. And then the third one for ourselves is do the pink or the clear luminescent love light, the Reiki 2, cleanse your heart out in relationship to what you just cleared. So anything that the heart needs to clear, open up more space in your heart. And then replace that original thought that you got rid of with something new. What are you going to, in replacement of that, start to hardwire into the nervous system, the bliss system? And whatever that new thought is, add a smile as you're getting all three of those lights. The white light is doing a unification through your brain, through your whole body, especially that one body part. Your heart is luminescent, clear love light. Your third eye is doing any additional violet rays, just cleansing, clearing any additional thoughts that were piggybacking on that. And then take a couple deep breaths into your heart, open mouth. And as you're open mouth breathing into the heart, just see any layers of the heart that are needing to be, again, with the Reiki 2, just that clear luminescent love light that wants to unfurl and open up wider. Get the heart energy center to really accentuate, open, 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 open. Illuminate your whole brain at the same time, multitask, so your whole brain white light. And this luminescent love light meets the white light. The beams of light just open and expand. And let that love light, that what we're doing is we're heart mind crystallizing our heart and mind to be in coherence together now. We're expanding the light. Let your orb of light get so big and bright as you're luminescent at the pineal, at the thymus, at the chest. Let it get so big that we start to encompass this whole space. Let your big, open, luminescent, heart-mind coherent radiance start to open, 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 open. Giving you the opportunity just to crystallize and open up more of that energy into your 6-foot aura, but also your beyond, your oversoul aura. giving more power, more clarity to all the blueprints we've already laid out, netted, that the higher ups are really requesting. Good. And then when you feel ready, opening your eyes, staying in that bliss, that glory. Working on holding that kind of frequency as you open your eyes. Like, how do you keep that? Maybe you keep open mouth breathing, you know, and just notice that. That gets 3 times the amount of oxygen in and out, so it really can help the propulsion, the momentum of your toroidal field and all the light particles. And we're going to add in, before we do our gifting to someone, these high frequency oils. And so if you have an area in your body, in a moment after I go over them, I pulled out from Spirit, said bring out peppermint, which has a megahertz frequency, I think, of 78. Lavender is in the 100, a little bit over 100 megahertz. And then rose is 320 megahertz. It's the highest frequency essential oil that I know of, I'm pretty sure. And so when we add in essential oils, again, or crystals, or Reiki, or any of these extra light color frequencies, we've got an Orosoma that Catriel does, and we've got his, I almost wanted to bring the spring water that you gathered. But when we add these extra frequencies into the body, or onto the light body, or into the physical body, again, we're helping and opening more of that to then start to vibrate these areas open. Yes?
Very practical question, but
yeah.
How do you know, like, what the hertz is of, like, for instance, the essential oil? Like,
I don't know how they did it, but I looked it up for class and memorized it, pretty much.
Sorry.
But I'm sure there's something, you know, you could look that up.
Really
There's
cool
some
to test
machine.
different objects.
Absolutely, yeah. I know they've got it because they've got it for plants, I'm pretty sure. So this, usually I have a carrier oil, but when you use a carrier oil, it'll help push the oil into your cells, and so you take it up into your bloodstream really quickly. And these are edible essential oils that we've always had here. So, you know, it's good to go into the bloodstream pretty in all ways. Putting on the soles of your feet, if you decide that when I give these to you, or the ones that you want, that you feel like you want to put on the soles of the feet, they'll go up really quickly as well. You could, you know, use the foot map. But if you had an area of your body, like, did everybody get an area of their body that they noticed the beam of light from Reiki 3, the violet light, go to? Did anybody get? And as you put it on, or maybe you've already have, but notice if that area of the body shifts. This is a big experience. So definitely visiting spaces and places that you get guided, go. And that's a great assignment to, like, really offer blessing there. And that's a ripple in time upgrade. Like, you literally do drop a new anchor, new marker, and a new memory of that place, which then literally takes you out of that lower trajectory into a higher one, that now it's like, oh yeah, now when I think about that place, oh yeah, I gave bliss there, and like, we jump. So these are all jumping techniques, which is super awesome. My message from, I think it was that Saint Germain said this, what we just did was more important than anything.
All right.
Like, this was really important. I'm like, okay.
Saint